Hey guys, we're back again. I've had some people ask me, will the new Earth Phase movement fit into a metal case? And more importantly, will the spacer ring that I created for that Snoopy a few weeks ago, will that work in this movement? I printed it in white and I printed it in black. We'll see. It doesn't really matter. It's all hidden anyway. But this movement ring was developed for the moon phase. And the questions were, will this work in this movement? So we're going to get this out of the case and we're going to find out. All right, we're back and the case has been cracked open. Got all of our parts here. When I opened this up, I did notice that the back does have a normal G10 access hole to remove the stem. So I have no reason to believe that this is going to be that much different. The thickness may vary, so we're going to find that out in a second. Just going to take some quick measurements. I'm not going to show you a full build on this one as we talked about. But the big thing about this short video is just to see if this movement here will function with the movement rings that I've created and whether or not there's some additional modifications that'll have to be done. So we'll get to that right now. Basically, I'm just going to remove this from the case gently. There we go. This one does look a little different. I'm going to be honest with you because this has a sort of a white ring that I'm not familiar with on other models. So let's get the micrometer out and see what our measurements are here. If you remember on the last one, this was 2.95, just like this one. And then the overall movement was somewhere in the 6.07. So this does have the exact same measurements as the Snoopy moon phase, it would appear. Which means that in every other aspect, it should fit into the case just like the Snoopy did. So that's good. I'm going to just basically do all that. I'll cut to the end and show you what it looks like. Okay, here we are. We're back just for a minute here because I wanted to show you something and kind of describe the process a little bit. We're going to come back just when the watch was built, but I encountered an issue. So let's talk about that. So the new movement holder fit in very well. Everything went plug and play like a glove. But the problem is that when this is screwed down as tight as, not tight, but snug to the point where the movement is not moving, which tells me that it's being squished properly, not too tight, not too loose. But when I did that, I don't know if you can see here, I'm going to try to point to it, there's about 0.5 millimeter, maybe slightly more, gap still in the case. And that's no good because when you put the gasket in, that gasket won't be properly squished and you won't have the water resistance. I mean, theoretically, you could close this watch up, you could wear it, nothing would be wrong with it. It wouldn't have any issues whatsoever except for the waterproofing. So we want to make sure we take care of that. So that being said, also wanted to notice something else is that this stem is not in an ideal location, but there's not much we can do about it. When we screw that stem down, there's going to be a small little bend to it. But there's really nothing I can do because this dial is sitting up as forward as it can be, and the pushers for the stopwatch are lined up to the point where they're functioning very well. So if I was to do anything, it would be to push that movement towards the face, but I don't know how I would do that other than milling the case out and with a lathe or something, and then of course your pushers wouldn't line up. So this is just it just has to be this way, unfortunately. Nevertheless, let's fix the problem. So what I want to do first off is I want to get this back off. I'm going to show you. Like I said, I didn't cram it down, I didn't snug it down because it was too far back. So what I want to make sure is, what I want to see is the reason that this case back or is not sitting flush? Is it because this is sticking too high, or is it because it's not being pushed in low enough, or it's not sitting up against that lip in that movement that we've seen before? So here's what I'm going to do. Pull you a little bit far away. Take my micrometer here. And what I want to do is I want to see first off how far off the back this thing is sitting. So we'll just use this tool here on the back, and we're going to go all the way down so it sits flush with the back of that movement holder. And we're going to have 2 millimeters, right? So then what we want to find out is if that's touching the back of this case. So how to do that is we're just going to take the full measurement here, same way, put that in there, and we've got 2.62 millimeters, right? And then we're going to subtract the amount of the lid, and we want to do this way because this little lip, we don't want to deal with that. So, what did I say, 2.62? Let's do that again. Measure twice, cut once, right? 2.63, yeah, 2.62, 2.63. So minus this lip, which is 1.39. So what's that math? I don't feel like thinking. It's too early on a Saturday morning. So 2.63 minus 1.39 equals 1.24 millimeters, and we had 2 millimeters. So we know that this is pressing up against the back by 3/4 of a millimeter. So normally if you had this, all you would do is you just take a flat piece of sandpaper and you'd sand the back of this movement down to 1.2 film. You'd take basically 0.75 millimeters off of it, which should not be an issue because there's plenty of that. This part of the movement holder is at least 1.62. So you still have a millimeter of case back there if you did this. I don't know why it's sitting so far back. It appears to be sitting flush up against the back of the movement, so that's not the issue. It's just the way this, and this is a good point. This is a good time to point out that these Eyes on the Stars case backs, I've had a lot of issues with these things. And I've heard issues with other people too. When you're dealing with the regular steel-backed case back, these are nice and flush inside, but otherwise it is they're concave on the inside of here, which if you were going to use a regular hat-shaped movement holder like I did, like this, like some people are using these on the fake ones, the PE50 movements, and they just don't sit at all flush. Whereas if you had a ring type movement, it would sit in there much more flush, and there's no wobble at all. Whereas this type of ring, so you see the problem here, right? This case back is not level on the inside, and that causes all kinds of issues. And also they're slightly elevated, so we're dealing with two completely different types of case backs, but we're trying to use the same movement holder in both, and it just doesn't work. So anyway, as in with all watchmaking, I hope you realize when you buy these things, if you do, or you're trying to do this yourself, that inherently every watch is going to be different. Everyone requires some sort of modification. That's just the way it is. And if I told you I had two that were alike at some point, I would be lying, because all of them are in their own way separate and independent of each other. So just bear that in mind. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take this case back, this movement ring holder, and we are going to reprint it, because I've got a 3D printer and I can do that. But if you had this in your hands, you would just take a piece of sandpaper, take 3/4 of a millimeter off, put it back in, call it a day. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to reprint one. It's so much easier that way. So we'll be back. Okay, we're back. Truth be told, I had to take a little bit off of this side and this side of the ring that's in here now. Same dimensions, just a little bit off both. It's just the way it is. A little piece of sandpaper would do the same thing, but I just reprinted it. So now we have a case that is snug in there, and or a movement that's snug in there, and we have a case back that is tied up against the case, so that gasket is going to get squished. But I still need to cut this stem. You know the process for that. We're going to measure it. Then we're going to mark it. And then we're going to cut it and put that back in there. And then the final steps is to put the gasket in and to put the bezel on. And I'll just cut through all that and we'll see what it looks like at the end. All right, here we are at the big reveal. Again, this is the Earth Phase MoonSwatch in a metal case, and I think it turned out pretty good. It's definitely a unique watch. Doesn't follow the same lines as the other ones because it's got your Earth phase. If you don't know what that is, moon phase tells you at any given night or day rather even, what the moon looks like, whether it's a full moon, a half moon, a crescent moon, etc. The Earth phase, what makes it special is that it also tells you that if you were standing on the moon, what the Earth would look like. So moon phase and Earth phase. I'm not entirely sure how accurate that is. I'd be curious to see. But yeah, so Earth phase. So anyway, there it is. I'm going to put it on my wrist. We'll see what this looks like. And that's a wrap. All right. So again, this one was short. I didn't want to do a full build on this, so I just wanted to show you mostly what this was involving, putting it in here, and then what it looked like at the end. But like, subscribe, I don't know, dance around in your underwear. All I know is if you stick around, we'll do more fun stuff.